Hello, I am Jakayla Woolridge, and for prompt 3, I would like to focus on poverty's effect on education. I chose this topic because poverty impacts many of the students that I have taught. Prior to my work in the Douglas County school system, I worked in the Atlanta public school system, and I taught in the South Atlanta cluster, and many of those students that I taught resided in impoverished communities. Poverty and understanding how it can impact students connects to my work currently as an ESOL teacher. Poverty also influences achievement, attendance, and resources. Poverty is defined as a lack of resources needed to meet basic needs. Examples of poverty include food insecurity, housing instability, limited health care, and transportation challenges. As far as it relates to educational equity and poverty, some of the main focuses that I wanted to include are the issue of equality versus equity. Students need different supports to achieve success. So, for example, what a student on the north side of Atlanta in Atlanta public schools may need, it may not be the same as a student that resides in the South Atlanta cluster. Equity focuses on providing what students need. Now, why is poverty an educational challenge? Well, some of the things that poverty definitely can cause or attributes to are achievement gaps, attendance concerns, social emotional stress, and limited access to academic resources. In order to speak to various viewpoints, I do want to share that schools cannot solve poverty alone. Schools can reduce barriers through support systems that are available, and community partnerships are essential. As far as it relates to poverty in my classroom, students mainly, what I noticed this year, were missing school due to transportation, or they might have had limited school supplies. They may have had challenges that impacted their focus and engagement in class, and this was observed among some ESOL learners. Now, as far as the impact of poverty on ESOL students, I do want to share that language barriers and poverty can overlap. There's limited access to literacy resources, and I wanted to speak to the strong resilience and family strengths. Now, what have I done as a teacher? In order to address the needs of students and their families, I wanted to hone in on small group instruction. One of the things that is very important to me is, of course, building a solid relationship with students. And you're able to get to know their stories and get to know some of the challenges that they may face when you are in a small group setting versus being in a whole group setting. They would definitely feel comfortable telling you some things in that small group setting. I also want to ensure that there are visual supports in place. And so, with that being said, these visual supports not only can help students, but for families that come in to visit in the classroom setting, they're also able to see these visual supports. And this was definitely important for my ESOL families, especially being that many of them only spoke Spanish and they were still trying to learn English at the same time as accessing the content or mastering the content. I also ensured that there was consistent family communication. One of the things that I expressed to my families at the onset of the year is it takes a village, and definitely staying in communication with families let me know what they may have needed, and I was able to connect them to the proper resources, which leads to the next bulletin, connecting families with resources, the appropriate resources, of course, based on their needs. And also, again, I wanted to speak to building relationships. I wanted my parents and students to understand that it takes a village. And so, in building that village and ensuring that we had strong relationships, many of the issues that they faced, they felt comfortable coming to me. And again, just taking it back to the previous bulletin, I was able to connect them with the proper resources. In order to help others to understand the challenge of poverty, it's important to collaborate with colleagues. And so, one of the most important things is understanding what poverty is so that we're able to connect families to the appropriate resources based on their needs, and also to support our students. Something else that is also very critical is family partnerships. So, ensuring that you have those strong relationships in order to, again, make those connections and help them to get the resources that they need. And also creating awareness of the barriers that students face. And so, when we are all aware, we're able to address, again, any needs that the students may have and able to help them to be successful in the classroom space. I also wanted to speak to both sides of the challenge with poverty and education. So, from the lens of perspective one, poverty creates barriers. There is limited access to the necessary educational resources and technology. There's food insecurity that can impact students' concentration and their ability to learn. There's housing instability, which may affect attendance and their academic performance. There's chronic stress, which can influence behavior, students' focus, and their overall motivation. And students may begin school with fewer academic opportunities compared to their peers. Now, looking from another lens perspective too, schools and communities can reduce those barriers. Effective teachers can provide high quality instruction and support to those students that are experiencing poverty. Schools can offer intervention programs, tutoring, and literacy supports. Community partnerships can also provide resources for families, and strong family school relationships can improve student outcomes. Also, positive school environments can help students despite the challenges that they face with poverty. As far as the impact on student learning with poverty um, and addressing those barriers, there was increased confidence, also improved engagement, a stronger homeschool relationship, and also better academic outcomes. Now, as far as a professional development opportunity, I would encourage that there be some type of workshop where we address the topic of understanding poverty's impact on student achievement. And then we want to ensure that everybody is aware and understanding of the trauma informed practices that should be in place to address issues that students may face, especially when they're dealing with poverty. We want to ensure that we have a true understanding on equity, and again, basically ensuring that our students have the resources that they need in order to be successful. And it's the same across the board so that all students can be successful. We want to ensure that families are engaged and they are able to feel comfortable. So, again, they are able to reach out and to make connections so that we can provide them with the proper resources. And also, we want to ensure that we have student supports in place in the school setting so that students can overcome most, if not all, of the issues that they face if they experience poverty. In conclusion, I want to share again that poverty affects educational opportunities, and students are not defined by circumstances, and educators can reduce barriers through supportive relationships. I have also provided my references, and I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen as I addressed poverty and its impact on education.